we've done a number of training programs.
I saw, yes.
The leash reactivity has like gone in waves of good and then bad. It's gotten worse.
Okay.
She's got like for the most part like in home with limited distractions, she does pretty well.
Okay.
But once she's over threshold, everything's out the window.
Sure.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like she knows her place, she knows her sit, her like come, her touch. But then she like she doesn't even care about reactions mostly. But now that she's triggered, like now the reaction is a problem. But in a typical world, she would have seen that reaction, that reflection, and been like, what?
Not an issue.
Correct. Yeah. How old?
6. She just turned 6. Yeah.
And you've had since what age?
Since she was 8 months old.
8 months. Okay.
She's a rescue from Chicago Paws.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And like this since the day you got her?
Since the day I got her. So she was mildly reactive when we first got her.
Okay.
We did a couple training sessions. At first, we did a dominance training session with her, and that made the reactivity worse. So we went to all positive reinforcement.
Okay.
Things got a little bit better, but then like at some point, it just got out of hand with the reactivity. We used to be able to like walk across the street from another dog.
Okay.
Now it's like 4 or 5 houses down. Like
She can see
we
him.
see a dog and we like lose control.
Okay. Describe the dominance training that you did.
It was like kind of like stepping on the leash to hold her in place.
Okay.
Or like we used to have almost like a harness that they would tell us to like hold down to the ground to like force it down.
They would call it like lock her down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that she can't like lunge, she can't react.
So restraining.
You're restraining.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it got worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're creating frustration.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that that's most of what her reactivity is I think like when she has had the opportunity, whether accidentally or intentionally, to meet another dog on leash, she doesn't like go to attack them.
Yeah.
It's not like fear or aggression. It immediately becomes play. And so we suspect that, and some trainers have told us that most likely it's like the unfamiliarity about like what the leash is trying to communicate, and she like turns it into frustration and then starts reacting.
Okay.
And I think we've reinforced it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else I should know about her?
She goes to daycare pretty often and she does fine.
Yep.
And then she's not people reactive. She's very movement focused though, based on her breed.
Yeah, so she's super sight oriented. So especially when she's over threshold like this, she'll see something in the corner.
Like a
and
leaf.
A leaf move or something, and immediately she'll notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
How'd you find us?
I think through YouTube, I think.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, like watching these videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, watching videos like this, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I guess maybe one thing
Yes.
to note is that we are planning a European move in a couple months.
Oh.
And so that's part of what's...
Going to Europe.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
To Europe, yeah.
So that's
Big
part
move.
of the... Yeah, it's a big move.
Just as FYI, I know in certain parts of Europe, e-collar is banned.
Yeah.
And I think all aversive tools are banned.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
You'll obviously, I know of these things being in the dog training world.
Yeah.
I did have a client that moved here to Italy whose dog was trained by us.
Okay.
And as far as I know, no issue. But
Okay.
her dog, I think it was just obedience stuff. I don't think it was behavioral.
Okay.
So, she could be someone that could get away with like not having to use the tool.
Yeah.
Or in certain cases when we deal with behavioral stuff, a lot of times the client needs the
Hey,
tool
no.
in order to keep things in check, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that's worth kind of looking into, just as a heads up. I know UK for sure. I think it's banned, and I'm not sure if it's banned of like you guys being able to like go out and purchase one, versus like we already came.
We have one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
heads up there. Okay.
That was going to be one of our questions. Sorry, she has a mild eye infection that she's itching.
Okay.
But one of our questions was also like doing the training on the e-collar. I think makes sense. And then we were wondering like, is there something like we could transition to a leash if it, for example, in Spain they don't have e-collar or aren't allowed with it? Could we like teach the good behavior with e-collar and then transfer that learning to like a leash pull, for example?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good question. Probably the most common question that I get is, more simply put, like when does the e-collar go away?
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, when you need it, it doesn't.
Stop it.
Okay. And it's not that you're always using the tool. It's not that you're constantly pressing this button.
Yeah.
It's that it's present.
Okay.
You guys drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you go on the expressway?
Yeah.
Do you go the speeding limit?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Most people speed, right? That's
Yeah.
pretty much it, right?
Like occasionally.
You see a squad car, what happens?
Oh, you slow
slow
down.
down, yeah.
You pass the squad car, you're clear of the squad car, what happens?
Speed
You
back
probably
up.
pick back
Correct.
up, yeah.
This is what's called opportunistic behavior.
Okay.
All animals do it. Okay, it's a part of survival instinct.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for the dog, I think for Gertie, think of the e-collar as a cop on a collar. When
Okay.
it's present, she's going to behave better. When it's not present, she's going to press boundaries. Okay, and that has nothing to do with my skills as a trainer. It's just the way of the world. If an animal can get away with something that it wants to do, why not? Right? So it's kind of like, you ever seen those videos with the kids where they leave them with the candy, right? And they're like, whatever you do, don't
Yeah.
eat the candy,
Right.
or whatever. And then everybody leaves, the adults leave, and there's that camera there. And some kids you see there, they'll still respect that rule or that statement. And then you see kids that like might sneak one or they'll sneak a few,
Yeah.
right? It's just opportunistic behavior, okay? The other thing is, it's a third-party tool that corrects the dog.
Okay.
So, which is a pro and con. When I'm dealing with like fear aggressive dogs, if a dog is scared of me and is fearful of me, despite never have met me before, right? That's a mental thing. That's a mental or emotional issue that the dog has that we have to kind of work around. Is if I touch the dog and it becomes aggressive because it's scared of me. Let's say you use your leash and
Yeah.
you pop the dog. That leash pop is directly related to you. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
Because the dog sees you and feels you pulling on the leash, okay?
Yeah.
Now, in that sense, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to correct the dog that way because you have to think the dog is scared of me for whatever reason. So in their mind, their aggression is validated. So when you go to correct them for their aggression, they're like, why are you correcting me for protecting myself
Yeah.
from this potential threat?
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So e-collar, because it's a third party, the dog doesn't, even if the dog sees me press the button, doesn't know where it's coming from.
Huh.
So if I touch the dog and they become aggressive and we're correcting them with the e-collar, the dog has no idea who's doing it, right? So now the dog goes, well, you touched me, I became aggressive, this thing turned on and I don't like it. When I stopped being aggressive, the thing turned off.
Huh.
And then we repeat that exercise. And eventually the dog goes, hey, you're petting me right now and I'm okay. I'm not attacking you. I'm okay. Nothing's happening on the collar either. So that must mean when I make this decision, this thing will turn on, but at the same time, I don't need to be aggressive
Yeah.
because everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that's the power of e-collar as well.
Okay.
But there's pros and cons to it. The pro to, like let's say for example, barking out the window.
Yeah.
You're in your home, you're not always going to have the collar on. That's just realistically speaking, right?
Yeah.
Is if you have the ability to correct Gertie, you yourself, in a way that she respects, when you're around, she would not bark out the window. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're the cop.
Yeah.
But if the e-collar is the cop, when it's not present, the dog's going to
Okay.
exhibit the behaviors.
I see.
Okay? Are you familiar with Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer?
Yeah.
Mexican
from,
guy
from
years ago.
TV years ago,
Yeah,
right?
National Geographic,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, so like you probably hear right now my employee's going, shh, right?
Yeah.
Because he's telling a dog to hush.
Okay.
So Caesar's thing he's kind of known for is his sound. Right?
okay.
Where like if a dog did something, he would do that and the dog would stop. And
Okay.
it looks like magic.
Yeah.
Okay? But a lot of times what Caesar does is if the dog's barking out the window, he would, right? He would acknowledge the behavior and then he would correct the dog with his hand.
Okay.
A lot of times like this.
Okay.
To make teeth. Like
Okay.
another dog would.
Yeah.
So he makes the sound, the correctional cue, he would correct the dog himself. And now the dog goes, this sound means you disagree with what I'm doing. If I don't stop, you will correct me yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? And the power of that is, well, whenever I'm around, if I give that sound when I see something I don't want, the dog would stop. Right? But that in itself is a whole different skill. Being able to do what Caesar does takes a lot of time and effort because you have to calculate, you have to know how to use your hands to correct. And there's also people have a psychological hump when it comes to correcting their dogs, you know, because they feel like they're hurting their dog or something like that. Macy? I'll take me. Okay. So this here is just tension, right? There we go. And ideally I want her facing. There we go. Okay. So when I first started my career 15 years ago, I used Cesar Millan methodology.
Okay.
Because he's what I had access to. I
Uh-huh.
literally watched and rewatched the 5 seasons of The Dog Whisperer on DVD, and I would go out and practice, and I would, go out, come back, review, go out and practice. Did it for like a year,
Okay.
and I used to do it at the Humane Society down in Texas. And I just told them I lied. I said, I'm a trainer. Like, can I work with your dogs? And they
Yeah.
said, sure. And I was like, cool. And then they let me do my thing. No one's going to do that for their dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we use tools like prong collar and remote collar because it makes it easier for the average dog owner to correct these things without investing so much time that they themselves feel like they're becoming a dog trainer. You know, so to go back to your original question of like, can we transition things to a leash pop? Like technically yes, but what happens is this here, your martingale, right, can only do so much force. So you have to end up compensating for that. So like, for example, I have a Frenchie here. He's here for 4-week boarding train. The owner can't have a life. She can't have guests come over. The dog bit her aunt when she was walking into the door.
Oh, wow.
When she walks the dog is reactive. She's like, I'm more and more, secluded from the world. Right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. People withdraw, right? Because they're like, well, if I can't have people come over and then I can't walk my dog because my dog's going to be reactive, like they just start to withdraw from the world and they're home all the time. That's what happened to this lady. And he's super territorial. So we did a session, and it's actually on our Instagram. You'll see where I go in to challenge him.
Yeah.
And I come in with a glove, okay, a falconry glove. And you can see here, he didn't get me bad. It's just like a little scratch here, and then he got me here through the glove. But essentially, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to come into the space because you're territorial, and I'm going to challenge the behavior, and I'm going to correct the behavior until you stop. Okay.
Okay.
The theory is we always start low, we work our way up. I don't just come in hot. I don't just come in maxed out on the collar, even when we deal with aggression, which is a very common thing that people think. They go, oh, my dog lunges at people, very bad, so I'm gonna give him a very bad consequence, okay? And sometimes it does come to that conclusion, but we don't start there. We always start low, we work our way up. Okay, so I started at 35 for this particular dog because I had already had a training session with him, so I already knew at minimum he was at 35, and I ended at 105 before he finally started to consider stopping the aggression.
Okay.
And the max power is 127, just to give you a reference point, and he's like a 35-pound Frenchie. Okay, and he's on a high-powered collar band for a Rottweiler. Just heads up. Okay,
Wow.
so
Wow.
the size of the dog does not matter. So the saying, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog, is a very true statement once you've trained dogs like I have, okay? So that was our first session. Second session, that was like a 10 to 15 minute session because I'm explaining, I'm talking, it's a video that I'm doing or whatever. The second session, I come in, same thing, except I went ahead and started at 105 because that's where I ended the first time before he started questioning, okay? I stopped the aggression in that video in about 2 to 3 minutes, okay? And it was a 10-minute long video. It was much shorter because I was already at the setting where he's like, you know what, I don't like this. The third time, I corrected him once, didn't do a thing.
Oh, wow.
Okay, because I'm meeting him where he needs me to be. Okay, he's a talker, that's him right now. Most people, they don't like being higher in the collar. And this is in every case. I get some dogs that are 20, 25. Average range of most dogs is 25 to 35 on a collar. That's where most dogs tend to fall. But there are outliers, right? So if I'm willing to go to 105 for the Frenchie, and I told this to the owner, because I'm very transparent, I go, if you're not willing to go there, and you only go to 40 or 50 or whatever, he is still gonna be aggressive with you, because he knows you're not willing to go there.
Okay.
Do you see that? So it's not that we're trying to be mean to the dog. I remind everybody that dogs are physical creatures. They nip and bite each other, okay, as a form of consequence. So if you go on our Instagram, you'll see the Frenchie, it's a short little clip, but you see him attacking the glove, like nonstop, okay? This here, wrong hand, you see that? This is one bite from a Great Dane, okay? He wasn't aggressive, not human aggressive, not dog aggressive. He just destroyed their home. Like he chewed up everything. He chewed up their bar, he chewed up their front door, he chewed up their couch, he chewed up all that stuff, okay? He had never been crated before. So I was trying to load him into a crate because I had not had a dog that big yet. This was when I was in Logan Square. All I had were standard wire kennels. I go to load him in. He panicked because he didn't know what I was trying to do with him.
happening, yeah.
And his only form of self-defense that he's aware of is, I'm I'm gonna bite you.
Yeah.
And he's a Great Dane, he was up to here, so there was no way I could avoid the bite because once he looked up, my hand was right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't take it personally. I called the owners, hey, please pick up your dog. This happened. They thought their dog was aggressive. I said, he's not aggressive. And I asked them, has he ever been crated before? And they said, no. I'm like, that's why he bit me. Okay, so I said, please train your dog while I heal up. And then he came back later and we trained him, no problem.
Okay.
And he still continues to come to daycare and boarding and stuff like that. And this was in 2019. Okay, never bit anybody prior, never bit anybody after. It was just a circumstance. Okay, so I remind everybody, because everybody goes, oh, my dog's never bitten anybody or anything. I go, that's because they haven't been put in a position yet, right? They haven't put in a position where they feel like they need to. Just like with me, like you meet me here, like, oh, just a nice guy, you know, very polite, whatever, right? You don't envision me being aggressive, right? But if I'm put in that position, if I need to protect my family or protect, myself or whatever, you're going to see that side of me come out. Does that make sense? So dogs, because they're primal creatures, right? They're primitive. They're more likely to resort to physicality because they don't have words like we do. Okay. So the e-collar, I like to explain as a bite on a button, essentially. Are you familiar with what the technology is?
I think so. Yeah. That it's like the prongs that poke.
There's two probes,
Yeah.
correct? What else? Like, do you know what the dog is actually feeling?
I think it's like similar to like the EKG machines
Yeah,
or whatever.
the muscle stimulators.
Yeah, I think we saw
Exactly.
your video. Yeah.
Yes, where I compare the two side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a muscle stimulator.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you feel them side by side, the way they're delivered is different, but they feel the same.
Okay.
Okay. So with humans, when we use TENS units, it's typically for a period of time because it's meant to either relax a muscle, break up scar tissue that might have been built in the muscle tissue. They even have now like needles that will go deep into the muscle so they can specifically target the exact muscle that they need to hit and to get moving. You see it in the back pain section of a Walgreens. If you walk into Walgreens,
Yeah.
go in the back pain management section, you'll see TENS units, right? And it's to put on your back and it moves the muscles to help them relax, to help relieve back pain, okay? Same technology, except on a collar. So it's a muscle stimulator, okay? So if I had that collar on Gertie here and I was pressing the button and I had contact, you would see something like this.
Yeah.
That's all it is, okay? Most people, when they hear electric collar, right, they tend to think electricity. They tend to think there's a current running through my dog's body. That's completely false, okay? We hear things like shock collar, right? Again, shock gives the implication of, oh, you're electrocuting the dog. That is also false. The term shock comes from a couple of places. In the dog training world, if you're not aware, there's a lot of drama. Okay, we have positive only trainers, praise, treats only, and then you have what we call like balance trainers, and you could say there's also just punishment-based trainers.
Yeah.
Like that does exist. Balance trainers like myself use everything available to us, right? I'll use a prong collar, I'll use a remote collar, I'll use food if the dog will take the food. I use everything that's available to me to get the result. Okay, whereas positive only is just we're using food. There's no force. There's some branches of what's called force-free training where you can't even tell your dog no. Okay, like it goes that far.
Yeah.
So-
We use no all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
She knows no.
She does know. She does.
I had a-
Is what she knows.
I had a client get kicked out of a force-free puppy class because the puppy jumped on her, and your instinct is no.
Yeah.
Right. So she went no, and then they literally just booted her out. Like it can get pretty, out there. But the positive only front doesn't want you or want their clients to use or seek trainers like myself. So they use things like torture, pain, shock, because nobody wants to do that to their dog. But when you actually go and educate yourself, and you're like, well, they use this technology on humans all the time. I had a client, her veterinarian, she booked a consultation with me, then she canceled it, and then she had lied and she said she was out of town, but she came to later tell me the truth was that her veterinarian told her not to train with me, to not use e-collars because it was making to make her dog worse. And instead they medicated the dog, okay? So then she reached out a few weeks later and she's like, hey, I was out of town, I'm not gonna move forward with the consultation, I'd like a refund. I was like, well, there's no refunds, but you can still have the consultation, So she was a little upset, but she's like, fine, I'll get what I paid for. And I told her the same thing. I was like, what do you think an e-collar is? Well, she's like, it electrocutes the dog, shocks the dog. I go, no. I was like, it's a TENS unit. And she looked at me and she's like, what? I was like, it's a TENS unit. And she's like, I'm a physical therapist. She's like, I use TENS units all the time. I go, it's the same technology. I was like, just feel it, So then she got upset because she's like, well, my veterinarian told me not to use you because of this and that. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's a mentality.
Yeah.
They want to deter you. I ended up training that dog. Funny enough, I ran into the husband. This was years ago. at a Mexican place here called Chava's El Original. Really good place, like Mexican food. And he's like, hey, Jesse. And I turn around, he's like, it's me, Remy. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you guys. Like, you live right here in Ukrainian Village. Well, they had to put the dog down recently because of cancer. It was a very aggressive cancer. They had to put him on Father's Day of all days. But that dog was a dog that was going to be euthanized because the dog was a resource guarder. Just as FYI for you, medication has nothing to do with resource guarding. Okay. Resource guarding is an instinct.
Yeah.
A dog doesn't understand when you give them kibble that there is more kibble in a bag, and that bag, there's like thousands and millions more of those bags at the store, right? The dog just goes, here's some food, I don't know when it's going to come back again, and I'm willing to fight you for it. Okay, it's a natural instinct, it's a survival instinct, right? So that was the issue. Dog was medicated, had nothing to do with the issue. Took the dog off the medication, did the training, did not euthanize the dog until recently because of the cancer. So had it not been for the e-collar, that dog would have been put down years ago. You know, and this is just the reality of the dog training world, unfortunately, is that a lot of dogs get put down because people don't want to use aversives. You know, it makes us feel good to think that we can use love and affection and treats and positivity to fix a problem, but realistically speaking, it just doesn't work. Positive reinforcement is great for things you want to see again. It is not good for things you don't want to see again. Does that make sense? That's why there's consequence.
I think that's what the problem that we've been having.
That's
We've been
been our
doing,
experience.
Yes.
Because I think when she's having these reactive episodes, we're not able to communicate with her. There's nothing to
Correct.
break her focus.
Correct.
And the more recent classes we've been doing have been like dropping a bunch of treats on her head. And I've been asking the question to all the trainers that they're like, oh, well, it's just about getting her attention. Is like, well, if she's reacting to a dog and then I just throw a bunch of treats on the floor, am I not reinforcing the behavior of
That's
her
also the
reacting?
problem too.
And so it feels like her reactivity has been getting worse since we've been doing this, like, you see a dog, here's like 50 treats, go and get them.
Like, good things happen when we see a dog, but no, it's good things happen when I react and lose control. Well, when I lose control and I can no longer communicate
Yeah, and so
and listen.
we're like, unable to communicate with her. And so that's where,
And
like,
kudos to you for coming to that conclusion, because that's a very common argument in the dog training world, is that you're theoretically reinforcing the behavior, right? So like, for example, when a dog becomes reactive, a lot of people like crouch, it's okay, it's our friend, no barking, right? When you're touching, when you're petting, you're telling the dog, I want you to do this again. Because it's happening as the dog's doing the behavior. So you see how she started to calm down. So if I wanted to incentivize this I could reinforce. But then also how I reinforce it matters. Because if I'm like, oh my God, good job relaxing, well, now I'm the opposite of what I want her to do, which is to relax, right? So, and for your dog here, the issue is overstimulation. Okay? And hypervigilance is what we call it, like the inability to relax, and it's just on constant alert, right? So that's the problem, which is why, because if I'm remembering from what you said earlier, it's also carrying into the home. Is that correct?
Like if we have an episode outside, she will come in the house and like suddenly sounds in the house are like alerting to her. And it'll take a couple hours.
I was gonna say, it'll take a couple hours for her to come down, but like for the next 2-3 hours, she's still at really high threshold.
Like she can be in the house, hear a dog bark, like in the morning, for example. We haven't taken her for a walk or anything, and ignore it. But if she goes out, she sees a dog, has an episode, that same dog bark in the house now is like high alert, whining, I need to find this dog.
She's unable to come down.
Yes.
Okay. And I see this stuff all the time. Okay. But yeah, a lot of people don't come to that conclusion of, aren't I just like reinforcing what I don't want here? Okay. So if another dog disagreed with her barking at a dog, what do you think that dog would do to stop her?
Probably bark at her.
Bark, and if that didn't work?
Maybe like nip.
Yes. It doesn't make this dog aggressive. It's just saying, don't do that.
It's communication and boundaries.
And we've seen that with like dogs playing, like they'll get a little too aggressive with each other and then they'll break apart.
And she'll do, well, we've seen that with her at daycare too. She'll communicate, like if a little puppy comes in, doesn't know any boundaries. She was just at daycare with a young
6-month husky.
A 6-month-old husky, huge. And we watched our daycare gal send us a video of them playing, and it was the first time they'd introduced, it had been okay, and the husky got too physical, and she like
Yeah.
And
She didn't like hurt the husky.
No,
obviously.
she would just did
She
the
just made it known.
Yeah.
and
then she was like, "This is good. She's
This is
teaching the
fine.
husky how to play."
exactly, and that's what she said. She was
Yeah.
like, she's communicating boundaries.
Yes. Now, and this is my opinion, which is again FYI.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true, right? But I don't allow that
Okay.
because I never want dogs to think they can regulate each other because that's how fights happen,
Interesting. Okay.
right? So it's like with children. If I have a bunch of toddlers or 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds, right, and I leave it to them to handle disagreements,
Yeah.
it's going to become chaos because they're kids.
Yeah.
The adults have to come in and go, what's the problem? Okay, yeah. You don't, so here's an example. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, okay, by like 7 years. I remember one time my mom left and she's like, hey, Jesse, I'm going to the grocery store. We're going to be right back, right? You're in charge. And then one of my brothers did something, like probably grabbed a toy of mine or whatever, right? And I spanked them because that's what my mom does to me,
Yeah.
right? She comes home, my brother, Jesse spanked me, right? Looked at me, and then I got spanked for that.
Yeah.
And she said, you were in charge, but that is something that only mom and dad can do,
Uh-huh.
right? The adults are in charge of the physical discipline,
Yeah.
not you. You're a child. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I have come into homes where one dog has killed another dog.
Oh.
Like
okay.
dogs will literally go that far. Like humans don't think this because it's not something that you see every day. Me being in the dog training world, specifically dealing with aggression,
Yeah.
it's a thing, but people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like that dogs kill both people and other dogs. Like it's not a thing that people know. Which is why again I remind everybody, dogs are physical creatures. They nip and bite each other as a form of communication, as a form of play, to instigate play, right? As a form of correction. Hey, you're
Yeah.
playing a little bit too rough. They even do it like to show affection, where they'll like chew on you with their front teeth. They're very mouth-based creatures.
Yeah.
So like we have a son. He's 14 months now. We have 3 dogs. And he's not allowed to interact with them. And it's not because I don't trust my dogs. They're dogs, and they see my son as a puppy. So if my son does something that they disagree with, they're going to nip and or bite him. Except he's a human and not a dog or a puppy that's meant to be bitten. They're
Yeah.
built. They have fur. This protects them. They have looser skin.
Yeah.
You see that? So this is how a lot of kids get bit. I see a lot of face bites on kids because people let the kid push too much boundaries, and then the dog goes, okay, I've had enough. You're a puppy, and I need you to respect my boundaries. I'm going to correct you because they have teeth, right? We have face bites and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is why, for me, remote collar is the best training tool because it allows me to communicate with the dog in their language because I'm theoretically biting them.
Yeah.
Okay. It just has to be done correctly, conditioned correctly, all that stuff. In the home, at some point, what we expect to see is that hypervigilance would start to come down over the course of time. Okay. Once Gertie learns how to relax, you will start to see her favor relaxation more. Right now, she has not learned how to relax, which is the problem. Dogs don't do well with self-regulating unless you teach them how to self-regulate.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and overstimulation is the most common thing that I get with dogs. Okay, it's the most common problem. Overstimulation is there's too many things in the world, right? Too many options. I can sniff this, I can sniff that, I can pee on that, I can bark at that, I can poop on that, I can pull over here, right? There's too many options. So when you have obedience that teaches the dog you're going to do what I tell you and you're going to focus, they have to block out all that stuff. So once they go like all of these things aren't an option, the option becomes focus on what we're doing and be calm is the I would say the symptom of that, right? A lot of times with these kinds of cases, within I would say the first class or 2, you will just naturally see the dog become calmer.
Okay.
So what looks like 100 problems for people is usually like just 5, because they're all outlets. They're usually frustration, right? Like the reactivity you're seeing is frustration from the overstimulation, okay? She goes out, she's overwhelmed. And then she's already here, like you said, kind of above threshold, right? Or on threshold. And then she sees a dog, which puts her a little bit over threshold, and now we have the reactivity.
Yes.
When you bring the brain down and they're no longer like this, and they walk in the world like this, right? Now it takes more to get to the reactivity stage. But now if I see her start to what we call stack, right? When you go, oh, she perked her ears up because she sees a dog being reactive across the street, makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a change of energy, plus that dog is being reactive, so she's gonna perk up. But instead of just going full-blown reactivity, it's the perk up, then the shoulders, then a step forward, then the hackles, then, you know what I'm saying? There's like steps to it now. So now it's like, okay, cool, I can correct her before the explosion even happens. And over the course of time, she starts to learn, I don't even need to bark at that dog
Yeah.
because nothing happens. Okay. And then indirectly, you start to bring her home and you're like, wow, that hypervigilance that we would see, 2 hours into coming home from a walk is gone. Just naturally a lot of times. Okay. If it doesn't go away naturally, it's not a big deal. It just means we now have to directly approach it. We have to now correct that hypervigilance in the home, is all it means. So initially what I do is I come in, we teach heel. And I go, first class you show up, you have the collar and everything. We teach the heel. I don't need to touch the dog. I coach you through everything. Okay. And then I tell you, rinse and repeat, come back in a week. You come back in a week, you give me feedback. It could be, hey Jesse, her reactivity is 50% better, 80% better. I even get dogs at literally 180, and on the first class, reactivity is done. Okay, that's not every dog, but I do get that does happen. I also get dogs where we're 6 classes in still dealing with reactivity, and those are my really extreme cases where I have to try every answer before we finally get to the final answer, which is we're going to max out the collar and then we're going to harshly correct the behavior until the dog stops, right? But I'm taking the time doing everything else first before we get there, because me as a dog trainer, I can see it on the first day and already know I need to go there, but they don't know that, right? The dog owner doesn't know that. So they need to experience the journey of trying everything available. So when we hit class 5 and 6, I'm like, okay, today we're gonna go to 127, right? It makes sense. And they don't feel bad about it, because a lot of people will carry that guilt. They're like, oh, 127, it sucks. I'm like, it does suck, but we already did everything else.
Yeah.
And we're 6 weeks, 6 classes into this behavior, right? And then I'll tell them, now we're gonna take a gap. You're gonna go do what I tell you for 2 to 3 weeks, and then let me know if it's not getting better. Almost always, once we hit that range, once we match the dog's intensity, it goes away.
Okay.
It's just a matter of, again, the owner reinforcing the consequence. Okay? Questions on any of that stuff?
That makes sense.
So we have the reactivity, and then also, just as FYI, dogs being reactive on leash but social off leash is not uncommon.
Okay.
Okay. My theory is when a dog's on a leash, so we have 4 stress responses. Okay, what I call physical stress responses. The first 2 are fight and flight. Right. If a dog is on a leash, which one of those is removed?
Flight.
Yeah.
They can't.
So that leaves fight, which is why a dog is more likely to become reactive on a leash. When a dog is off leash, which option is now available?
Flight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now the dog's okay, cool. Yes, there's some stuff that's stressing me out here, but I could run away if I needed to. So stress levels come down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, because it happens where people are like, Jesse, I don't get it on leash, super reactive, off leash, super friendly. I go, yeah, it's my theory is because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if one thing that people usually will bring up, like, well, can my dog say hi to other dogs on a leash? I don't advise that. One, because if I don't know the other dog, I've had it happen where other dogs have attacked my clients' dogs in a meet and greet.
Yeah.
I had one client, her dog was super social. She was at the park with her dog. Lady walks up and goes, hey, can my dog say hi? And my client, of course, goes, yeah. Lady brings her dog in, and within like a few seconds, her dog attacks my client's dog. Okay, my client recalls her dog, so her dog comes back. Nobody is hurt, and then so my client's like, well, I'm sorry, did my dog do something or whatever? And the lady's like, we just got this dog, and we don't know what his deal is. Okay, so my client was like, well, if you would have told me this, my answer would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Yes.
No kidding.
Okay, yes. When you are in this world, you just hear the craziest stories.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm sure.
So, and if it's a dog, then of course go for it.
Yeah.
But the other reason why we don't suggest socializing dogs on leash is because a lot of times the dogs are pulling towards each other.
Yeah.
And that creates frustration. And then by the time they get to each other, that frustration has to go somewhere, which is physicality. And then that physicality becomes a dog fight. Okay, so that's another thing, a reason why I don't recommend introducing dogs on leash. Off leash, and like dog parks, like I don't recommend dog parks either, but you're welcome to use dog parks, obviously. But people's dogs have been attacked at dog parks, and people do just leave. Like, you would be surprised where their dog will attack somebody else's dog, they'll grab the dog and just flee the dog park. Don't even, check on the dog or anything like that. That's just the reality of things, okay? So, question on any of that stuff?
That all makes sense.
No.
I think that we generally don't let her meet other dogs. I mean, mostly because of her reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
The only time she's met dogs on leash is either when she goes to daycare, or if we've accidentally, we don't do it anymore, thankfully, but accidentally dropped the leash, and then she's like pulled away
Sure, yeah.
and met that dog.
Yeah, and when that has happened, and that hasn't probably been a few years,
Yeah.
at least.
Or one dog through a fence, Mabel.
Yeah, they become friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those times.
No, you have a social dog, in my opinion. You just have a frustrated dog,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because of the overstimulation stuff. So with training-wise, goals would be obviously reactivity, okay? The hypervigilance in the home and all that stuff. What else are you looking to accomplish?
So I think that that's the big one because I think that, like you were saying, we have over the years, especially as it's gotten worse, gotten more and more stuck at home. And when we leave the house, we're guilty. We're like, we're gonna go for a walk, but we should take the dog. But also, like,
not
I don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with this today. You know.
Right, yeah.
And so we don't go.
So then we
for
just
the
don't go for a walk.
That makes sense.
So the reactivity is the big one. I think for the most part, like her home training is pretty fair. Like she's not 100% will give me the behavior I want on the first try, but like 90% of the time I'll get it.
That's pretty.
So like
Yeah.
I would say it would be great if she was 100%, but also like in the home I can manage her. Like with the absence of dogs, like if something falls on the floor and I don't want her to eat it, I'll say leave it. She'll walk away. She'll get a treat. She spends most of her time in her bed. She doesn't go on furniture unless you invite her up. Like all of her home behavior is good.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
everything outside.
Yeah,
Yeah, makes
which completely
Yeah.
maps with the, like just the
The hyper-
overstimulation, you know. Inside where we can control the environment, it feels like she's a lot more able to listen.
Yeah,
and
she knows
does.
like
Yeah.
she
And
knows
it's
like
pretty
touch
standard.
and all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she knows a lot of commands, and she's very good with them
Yeah.
inside.
The consequence of trying to deal with the reactivity for so long is that, at least in my experience of the dogs that I've had, she's the best trained dog that I've ever had.
Same.
It's just the reactivity is the part that we can't figure out.
behavior.
But we've like on that journey have trained so many other behaviors in the house.
Yeah.
And we've even had some trainers that like will do like a lot of the obedience training in the house before they're ready to take her outside. And so because of that, I think she's gotten really good at that. So it would be a great consequence if those behaviors got better.
Oh yeah. So most dogs listen better in the home.
Yeah.
It's just less stimuli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless like she hears something.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And you're trying to break that attention or whatever.
Yeah.
So all that makes sense with what I see all the time.
Oh, I guess a heel would be great. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
behavior. Yeah.
the reason why I ask like goals wise is it gives me an idea of like how long or what to recommend to you essentially, and then give you an idea of like time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. If your main goals are reactivity, heel, obviously, recall.
Recall would be great.
Recall would be great
Yeah. Her recall is, especially outside, not good. I mean, we've never done off-leash recall,
for the reactivity reasons.
but yeah.
We've never tried that.
Recall in the house, I'd say 90% of the time you call her name or you say, come here, she'll come, except if she really wants something else.
Sure. So with that in mind, I would put you at a minimum of 6 classes
Okay.
in person. I'm assuming you're looking for in person.
Well, actually, we were actually gonna ask you about the board and train
Okay,
program.
yeah. She would be a candidate.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I mean by candidate is that typically, like Snooki is an exception. Like I don't really take human aggression
Okay.
because the owner has to learn how to handle that
Yeah.
because it's a liability.
Yeah.
Right.
But this guy's a 35 pound little Frenchie. I'm like, okay, like I can do it here, and then I'm confident that I can transfer it over to
Yeah.
the owner and stuff like that, pending she does the exercises. But ideally, I told her you'd want to do this yourself.
Yeah.
But she travels a lot, so that also was like, okay, then board and train.
Yeah.
The issue with the board and train, pros and cons. Pros is I get stuff done very quickly. So Snooki's been here, he's just 10 days into his 4 week, and he's already going towards off-leash training.
Wow. Okay.
It's very quick, okay? Again, one of the reasons why I just love remote caller
Yeah.
is that it advances very quickly when you know how to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. With the board and train, I can get more stuff done in a short amount of time. Think of 1 week of our time as 3 weeks of your time.
Yeah.
Is to give people like a frame of reference. Okay.
Okay.
With the board and train, even if it's 1 week, I do get all 6 commands covered: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel.
Okay.
Because again, I already know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
By the 3rd day, almost always, sit, stay down, come place, heel will have been taught on the remote collar to the dog. Okay, so then I have 4 days of everything getting practice. Okay, a lot of boarding facility or boarding trains teach one behavior a day.
Okay.
So it's a 1 week boarding train, and a lot of boarding facilities teach heel the last day. Okay, I teach heel the first day. It's the first thing that I teach because it's the most important thing to the training.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's one command a day, and heel is the last thing they learn, and then you pick them up the next day,
Leave it.
right? Technically, heel only got 1 day of practice.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I try to get everything done as quickly as possible. So even if I have the dog just for a week, everything is getting at least 4 days of practice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? So then, what I also do that's different from other boarding training is that I film the first lesson of everything that I teach on the e-collar, right? So you see your dog's raw response the first time she feels it.
Okay.
And if it's, let's say she's spooky, which means like they're flighty, okay?
Yeah.
They try to run and stuff like that. You would see me work her through it.
Okay.
When people see the flightiness, they go, oh no, my dog's scared of the e-collar. I go, your dog is already a flighty dog, and the e-collar is a stressor. So now that I'm putting her under controlled stress, we're seeing the flightiness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then I have to work her through the flightiness so that she understands that that's not an option, and then learns how to handle the stressor, which is theoretically how we help dogs build confidence. Okay, so if we see something like I had a blue heeler that just recently finished the 3 week boarding train, was very vocal. Okay, and I took steps like I would give her treats and stuff like that. And I'm explaining everything to the camera, and I go, we're here, and the dog, we're at 15, which like is barely noticeable, and the dog is still yipping and barking. She doesn't like the sensation, and she didn't want to do the obedience. It wasn't her in pain.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the owner is seeing it real time. So when I send it to them, they had a follow up. They're like, yeah, everything makes sense. Like we get it. She's being bratty, whatever.
Yeah.
And I told them once she starts to experience life and go out and go off leash hiking and like running and chasing squirrels and playing with dogs, a lot of it's going to go away because she's going, oh, this thing means I get to have freedom.
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing is, I explain everything real time.
Okay.
Right. Other places, it's you drop your dog off, and then maybe you have a 30-minute session, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I had one guy did a four week boarding train, and all he got was a 30-minute follow-up, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, there's no way you learned what your dog learned in 4 weeks and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you get the training videos. So for each week we have the dog, there's one video. So our max program is a 4 week program. So the first week video is always the longest, anywhere between 2 to 3-ish hours. Okay, because I'm explaining everything, beginning to end, real time. Second week, 45 minutes to an hour, because now everything's been taught. We're just progressing things to make them off leash. Okay. Third week, if the dog is social, we transition the training into a group of dogs. Okay, to add distraction. Fourth week is the dog is completely off leash in a group of dogs practicing the training.
Okay.
So and those videos are even shorter. They're usually like between 15, maybe 30 minutes max, because again, everything's been taught. I'm just demonstrating the obedience, how to practice the obedience, and explaining common issues that you might come across and all that stuff. And then you pick up your dog, and then I tell everybody, you're not just going to start from week 4. You're going to start at week 1. You're going to watch the videos, practice the exercises, transfer the training,
Yeah.
and then progress with the videos, depending on how far or how long we have her for. Okay. Now, even if a client does a 2-week video or 2-week boarding train, I'll tell them you can still have an off-leash trained dog. You just have more work ahead of you.
Yeah.
Right? If we have them for 4 weeks, the dog leaves here already capable of being off leash, but the training is tied to us. We have to transfer that to you.
Yeah.
But then also, she's not a machine. You don't just read a manual and then press the buttons and it works. You have to know how to move with her, how to use the tool, how to use your body language, right? It's not complicated. It can feel like it in the beginning because it's a lot of information, but it's pretty common sense based stuff. And then once you start to work everything through, like eventually one day you're like, my dog is awesome. I'm taking the leash off. Okay.
Yeah.
With an in-person program, the con would be it takes longer. The pro is you do everything yourself. So you get more hands-on learning, which is what the board and train doesn't have, right? Other thing about a board and train is that we may not see reactivity. So then if I don't see the reactivity, I can't correct it. It's not a problem. It doesn't affect you. because once you do the board and train, you do get follow-ups. So the videos are meant to transfer the obedience. And anything that you didn't get from the videos, you're welcome to use a follow-up for. Any questions like, hey, I'm having issues with this behavior still, right? And or, hey, Jesse, obedience is great, but we're still struggling with the reactivity. Okay, let's have a class and we'll work on the reactivity. Okay. And if I can't create it, like for Snooki, it was very obvious I could create it, so I could work on it and film some stuff. But I would say like 80% of dogs, once they come here, we don't see anything because of the structure. Like right now I have like 30 dogs here. And then you might hear the occasional whine, you might hear the occasional bark, but it's not 30 dogs barking all day, every day. Because of that structure, the dogs are not under stress. So a lot of places are constant barking because it's a feedback loop. They're going into that environment and they can't themselves settle, you know? So whereas here, they come in, it's already structured. So the feedback loop is calmness and quietness. You see that? And then if the first time she's here, it's training and discipline that also impacts what she's going to do behavior-wise, because she's like, well, you guys are disciplined and giving me guidance and consequence here, so I'm not even going to show you my reactive side. Okay? So that would be a con, but it doesn't mean that I can't help you with the reactivity. It just means if we don't see it, unfortunately, I can't really show you. You know, I have videos that I can send you as reference, you know, to go like, okay, and then again, you have the follow-ups in case it's like, we're still struggling, we need you to help us. Okay? Questions on that?
I think that all makes sense. I guess, so one of the things we were thinking with the board and train was just because with our move to Europe, we wanted to make sure that she knows what's expected of her, like the communication from expectations is clear, and then the transfer we thought would be a little bit easier rather than like, I feel like when we do the training, we always spend most of our time getting it wrong before we get it right. And I didn't want to like muddy the waters. With the reactivity board and train, could we do like 1 week to start and see if like, does she demonstrate the reactivity behavior? If she does and we need more time, we extend.
You can. We don't prorate programs though.
Okay.
So like a 1 week is $17.50.
Okay.
Right? And then a 2 week is $27.50.
Okay.
So if you did 1 week, it'd be $17.50, and then you're like, hey, we want to do another week, it'd be another $17.50. So then you're spending an extra of like $750 there or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also, with the number of follow-ups you get with the 1 week, it's the 2 to 3 hour video and then one hour lesson.
Okay.
With the 2 week, it's the 2 videos, and then you get 3 1 hour lessons. Okay, so then the longer the program, the more follow-up you're getting as well. In my opinion, and I've been wrong before, okay, I don't think this is going to be a severe reactivity case.
Okay.
Or anything like that, right? So when you guys first showed up, I saw the vigilance. But you see how quickly now she's starting to settle. And I just did a few things with her. So that's what gives me the impression of like, okay, I don't think this is going to be severe, but I have been wrong in the past. Okay. So the size of the dog, the breed of the dog doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. I have come into consults where I'm like, oh, this will be easy, and I'm like, wow, I did not expect that from that dog. You know. So I have learned that. But what I'm feeling so far, and what I've seen even with what's going on here in her and her energy and stuff, is like, I don't think this is a severe reactivity case. I just think it's like, she's frustrated.
That gives us a lot of comfort because I was expecting this to be.
I know the journey because it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
It's because of the methodology, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're not the first, you won't be the last. I've had clients spend thousands of dollars, like literally 10 grand, 15 grand on trainers.
Yeah.
And nothing. And then I come in, I'm like, yeah, that'll take me a couple of classes. And they're like, you know, bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, just a couple of classes because of what the tool that we're using.
Yeah.
You know, and this is why I put my videos up. I actually used to be even more transparent. I used to put all my training videos, like the entire uncut 1 hour long sessions on YouTube.
Yeah.
People loved it, but unfortunately, some people on TikTok, for TikTok clout, started taking things out of context, and then their followers started leaving us 1-star reviews. So it was a double-edged sword because I was like, you know, like, and I have some content up that you'll see if you dig a little bit. Where you can see the sessions to give you an idea of what like the training looks like, what have you. You'll just have to go back a little bit into my history. So I've made some stuff. I've just kind of cut it down a bit so that they don't have so much a bit of content available.
We've seen some really cool stuff, like I think with reactivity dogs, like at the Lincoln Park. So yeah, I think if she's able to do that and we can do the session together and learn, then like that would be great. Because I think in one video, I think I saw that like you had a reactive dog, and like within like 5, 10, and maybe 20 minutes, like the dog was just like calm, and it started looking like her, like reactive.
We recognized the behaviors immediately. It was really striking.
Yeah.
It's just you have to accept certain things, right? So like transitioning or transferring the e-collar to leash only.
Yeah.
To me, that's not a realistic outcome.
Okay.
You know, I've been doing this for so long. Because again, when that cop is gone, what's to say she can't do that?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that you're using it all the time. It's simply just present.
Yeah.
You know, and it's there. And it happens where like, you could be off leash at the park because you're like, wow, I can finally enjoy off leash with my dog, right?
Yeah.
And somebody blows up a firework. That's one of the most common reasons why dogs run away. It could be October and the random firework goes off and your dog is now running away because of the firework.
Yeah.
Now your dog is in fear flight response, right? And this has happened to clients where they've had to use the e-collar at max power to override that fear flight response to return the dog.
Yeah.
And they're like, Jesse, if we didn't have this tool, we don't know that we would have returned our dog because it's against instinct to run towards danger.
Yeah.
So that's not about, hey, come. You know, the dog's like, hey, man, like every dog for themselves, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality of things. Okay? So if that's something you're willing to accept, then I go, I can help you.
Yeah.
You know, because I tell everybody I can only take you as far as you're willing to go.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be a difficult case. I feel like it's going to be very straightforward, right? But if I'm wrong, and this is like, oh man, she needs to be at 90. If you're not willing to be at 90, then you're not going to get anything done with the reactivity.
I think after 6 years, I think we're willing to try what it takes. I think the most important thing is that she's confident and able to like exist in the world. And I think that she's a sweet dog, and I feel like we don't get to like go anywhere with her. She doesn't get to go anywhere. Yeah. So
people's lives open up a lot.
Yeah.
When they do remote.
We got a dog to be social and make friends.
I know. And then you get the opposite. It happens. You'd be surprised how often that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? I have a client coming here.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand you Gertie.
Okay.
Okay. And you can continue to have a seat. You're fine
Oh,
here.
okay. Do you want to see her react?
I already know what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
just heads up here. Hello. I'm just wrapping up with the consultation.
Okay, totally fine.
You're welcome to come in. Heads up reactivity.
Okay.
So do you want me to take your bag so you can?
You got her, okay?
Yep.
We got
It's gonna be good.
Okay.
Okay. Come on in. May I see your leash?
Sorry, Sorry. It's okay. I think he's calming her down. So
It's maybe working.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're good. Good. Stress shake. So this is
And this is more calm than she's been.
Yeah.
so you see here, even with the physical touch,
Yeah.
she's solid. I can feel it.
Yeah.
This is good because I was gonna recommend you do the higher powered collar. It's perfectly safe to use on a smaller dog with her. It just means we get more from less.
Yeah.
Okay. So good reactivity, good amount of reactivity, but I'm still not worried about it.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. Trust me.
I was afraid
I've
it was
seen
gonna
some bad
change.
stuff. Okay. So here, even though she's still obviously stimulated, right? I can only do so much
Yeah.
with my touch here, right? But the fact that she's able to hold even here, I go, okay, cool. I get dogs that I even myself can't settle
Yeah.
to this, like they'll stay blowing up the entire time. So with the remote collar, it's even easier.
Yeah. I can
Okay.
imagine.
So Tina will
This
send
is
you my
honestly
recommendations.
impressive.
That's
Yeah.
And this is the Cesar Milan stuff
Yeah.
that I was telling you about, but it takes a lot of skill to be able to do, which is
Yeah.
why I don't teach it anymore.
Uh-huh.
Pressing a button is a lot more now to the people
accessible.
now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So Tina will reach out. If you have any questions you may have forgotten to ask that pertain to me, you can let her know. She'll send them to me. I'll answer the questions, and then she'll follow up with you. Otherwise, she handles all the scheduling and stuff on her end. Okay.
Okay.
The faster you get us the stuff that we need, the faster that we can get Gertie in.
Okay, perfect. We'll get started on it. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you so much.
Any questions, you let us know.
Okay.
She's going to flip out on your way out. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can place your mics on the chairs there.
Oh, yeah.
With the getting her trained for the service for the process, do we need to get a doctor's note first? Or-
Yes. No. So the doctor's note is very easy to do.
Uh-huh.
What you can do is, including the email to Tina, can you please provide the information for the service dog doctor's note?
Okay.
And then I'll ask my wife, because that's what my wife did.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I'll help you on that front, no problem.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.